Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, or like a book club for people who hate reading. This month we're doing grab bags, so Ryan picked the movie Red, made in 2010. We bring you an episode of Community, and we bring you movie news. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston. So here's the description of the movie Red. When his peaceful life is threatened by a high-tech assassin, former Black Ops agent Frank Moses reassembles his old team in a last-ditch effort to survive and uncover his assailants.
I don't know if I'd call them high-tech assassins, modern day.
Well, I'd say more high-tech than he was, but obviously
I was going to say, even high-tech, juxtaposed to where he's at,
he doesn't have a laser watch.
But on the other hand,
basically, it's Cold War meets, the modern warfare.
Yeah,
but
I'd be down. Yeah.
His methods worked better, obviously.
His methods were built around, just grit and ass kicking.
Yeah, they're practical versus CGI.
Basically, to me, the reason I love this movie, and it almost brings it up in a really meta way, it's 90s action movie meets modern action movie,
Yeah.
I guess in a way. I got to say one thing, though. This cast is amazing. You've got Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, Carl Urban, and the list just keeps going on.
Yeah, what is it? Three Academy Award winners and one nominee.
Yeah.
Because I know Morgan Freeman, Helen Mirren, and I think Brian Cox had all won an Oscar. And Malkovich, I know it was nominated at least.
Yeah, Malkovich should have gotten something for that, but they even have Ernest Borgnine.
For this role specifically, Malkovich should have been awarded something. I thought it was so funny.
I love the line in the beginning when you met him. Something about, you thought he was being, given LSD.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, later on, we found out he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the movie was full of the, like you sort of relate to Mary Louise Parker's character as like, you're thrown into this world of espionage also. And, just was like, it's a good reason to sort of narrate what's going on,
And you almost have to grow up a little bit in the Cold War era to get some of this, because I was thinking about that. It's like the only reason I know some of this is because when you being born the latter end of it.
Yeah, well,
but at the same time, it's all classic action movie tropes. Things that they're making fun of.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things about this movie is that I love the fact that they basically took the kind of the mid to late 80s action into the 90s and threw it in with what we've come to know as action films in the late 90s into the early 2000s with the Bourne and drawing blank on some of the other ones, but those types of action films mixed in with the old school style.
Yeah, I'd say this was like Mission Impossible, Bourne Identity thrown in with a little bit of Die Hard and a few others thrown in the pot.
Yeah, a few.
But with the greatest light sense of humor that's ever been in one of these movies.
Oh yeah, and how they handle death in this movie, like there's just I love the. It's no problem.
Morgan Freeman died. Oh well.
It's hilarious.
Let's just move on.
Like the lack of shit. Oh well. Anybody for tea.
The thing that they kind of cop it up to is the fact that these are older people in a profession where young people die.
Yeah.
So, they've probably seen so many people die, that making it into their 50s and 60s, and I think Morgan Freeman was supposed to be in his 70s or something at this time, that they're like, okay, he had a good run.
Yeah,
right? A really good run, honestly. Sorry?
It's like the conversation that Morgan Freeman had with Bruce Willis. He's like, I never saw this coming, getting old.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of my favorite scenes was the scene when Bruce Willis, his character, the Russian, are drinking together.
Oh,
and going over, the assets that they had working for each other.
And she was one of mine.
Dude, that was so great.
Yeah, Brian Cox plays a really good character in this one. I actually enjoy him in some other films. I think he did okay even in the X-Men. Honestly, I think his role was done well.
I don't think there was anybody in this cast that I hated. Even pretty much everybody was spot on for the roles they played.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because usually in a movie,
I
because
love Carl Urban's character.
Yeah.
he's actually one of my favorite actors. But it's funny. There's always a movie or a character in the movie they're thinking that guy just doesn't fit the role. But this is like spot on. You know, even
Well,
though
it was almost overcasted, but I think the cast actually elevated the material.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
much more.
Okay, the
I
only
think that's
one
the-
that I would disagree with you guys on that, I had to look it up and see who she was. It was a Rebecca Pigeon, and she was the antagonist on the vice president side. It was the darker haired lady here.
oh,
I didn't think they
Yeah, I
did
know
a
who
good
you're
enough.
talking about.
I don't think they did a good enough job with her character. It kind of seemed like she was just an ancillary character that was throwaway.
was she the one that was like tried to take over everything?
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, she wasn't really important to the story
Yeah.
all that much. The strangest thing, so she didn't bother me. I just kind of wondered why they tried to have a character be so important to the story when she really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
she was kind of like the briefcase.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
like
she
fiction.
was. She was absolutely the briefcase, kind of sending Carl
Yeah.
Urban on his way. And,
Yeah.
feeding misinformation, etc.
Yeah, for me, like, this is like probably the 5th or 6th time I've seen this film, and I enjoy it a lot. But it was maybe it was just this time watching it, she just kind of was like sticking in there like a sore thumb, you know,
for me, I've
or
always
some
hated
broccoli in your teeth.
I've always hated that particular type of character because it's such an archetype of, oh, this is a bitchy woman who wants
Yeah.
to, and that character bugs me. But on this one, it's almost forgivable because that's what she is. She's just trying to gather power and.
Yeah, I gotta.
Well,
I understand.
what it is also, I mean, it's a really classic spy story. I mean, the whole plot is essentially, a story we've seen 1,000 times in spy movies from the Cold War till now. Somebody trying to cover up something they did back in the day, and some senator or congressman's involved. It's been the plot of 100,000 movies, but
Yeah.
this one sort of. Matter of fact, it's almost akin to the stories that Mary Louise Parker's character is reading. Sort of like those spy novels.
Ryan?
Sci-fi novel.
Oh, you know what kind of surprises me is this movie seems like it could add a little bit more of a noir touch to it, just because the way the story is. I mean, it has a little bit, but not as much as I originally thought after seeing the movie, like a couple of dozen times.
I think that the noir comes from just the characters' performances. From Bruce Willis and Malkovich and Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because of the script or the way they decided to act the character?
I think it's both. I mean, I give credit to just great storytelling, that they're the ones that are the kind of the fish out of water in like the old dogs in this new pool of people. And they're trying to adapt to the newness of everything. And when Bruce Willis is fighting Carl Urban, and they're trading back and forth the young guy old guy comments. That's where it's all kind of coming in. Like, all right, so new school, me.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah. Now, I never read the comics. The comics came out in 2000, or early 2000, like 2002
See, I
to
didn't
2004 or something like that.
I didn't even realize this was a comic.
Yeah, this is, it was a comic that was released.
Yeah, it's DC.
Yeah. I
was
haven't
it-
read the comic, so I don't know how well this lines up with the way that it was like a 3-part miniseries comic
Okay,
book.
that's what I was going to ask.
So,
It's a miniseries.
But I mean, as
Interesting.
far as like you guys are saying, I enjoy the noir of it, and I agree with Ryan that the noir really comes from the cast that they put together for the main protagonist, in this. So that's where I find the noir in it. I mean, I've always meant to read the comics, but I never got around to it. So I don't know if it matches up that well. But for me, I think this film is just enjoyable as a standalone on its
See,
own.
that's why I never thought this movie was overcast, because I think, kind of like thinking about to it, I think the material in this is so thin, you have to elevate it by better quality actors, because otherwise it would have been like a sci-fi movie.
But
I
it
can see
didn't.
that.
It didn't need to be thicker than that, because that's it. They're telling a really, sort of fantastical kind of story. This is one of those movies that's again kind of made for people who watch too many fucking action movies.
I would
Hence us 3.
right. I would say maybe I don't know. My only thought it was the quality of the actors that was needed. Maybe not these particular actors, but you needed people who had a little bit better chops, I think, than who they could have picked. And that's why I think Bruce Willis was perfect for his role. Malkovich plays a perfect guy who's slightly insane. That's why I thought this cast was spot on.
I swear, one of my favorite lines that anytime I find an excuse to say it just randomly is, "I'm going to get the pig."
Yeah. I was trying to find the quote from Bruce Willis when he's going up against Carl Urban or Keith.
Carl Urban.
Yeah, Carl Urban.
Not Keith Urban. That's a country music singer.
Anyway, when they were fighting in his office, and he asked him like, "This guy trained you?" And he's like, "Yeah." Well, I trained him, and then I think it's supposed to be he breaks his arm, but I think that was only dislocation.
Yeah, I think he just dislocated his shoulders.
Yeah, because I mean the sound they make there could be taken as a break instead of a dislocation. But anyway, I love that part right there where he's like, "Well, I trained that guy, so you're at a way disadvantage.
You're dealing with a master's master."
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in this whole movie was the one where Bruce Willis was in Carl Urban's house. I liked that. The reason why I liked that, because I think that was the scene where Carl Urban realized who he was really dealing with. This wasn't some low budget, some cheap guy. This is a guy who was doing it,
I think he realized it early on when he goes down to the records to actually get his real file.
Ernest Borgnine, man.
Yep. I think for him it was academic. He was reading, going, okay,
Well,
this is the way it was. And when he got the call from his house, I think that was when it really touched him, going, this guy's on my level or above. I think that's
what I was going to say is that early on, hold on, right? Early on, he kind of realized that he wasn't dealing with just some guy, and he goes down, meets Ernest Borgnine, goes through the file, and if you look, there's so much redacted on the file, he doesn't get an understanding, but he understands that this guy has skills.
Or had.
He has, obviously. It has skills that he doesn't fully understand yet, and like you're saying, when he was sitting in the house talking to him about, there's people that you care about that can be lost, it kind of sinks in. This guy's willing to go an extra step.
Well, that's why it's my favorite scene, because it instantly puts the viewer in perspective of Bruce Willis' character is more badass than they're letting on, because Bruce Willis' character, I don't think, had enough depth up to this point when you realize Bruce Willis has spent his career killing people, and it didn't really matter who.
Well, I don't think he's going to drink some gasoline and piss on your fire, though.
Yeah, but he's a better actor than Steven Seagal.
That's not hard to do.
No.
Anyway, Ryan?
No, I was just going to point out, like Bruce Willis is the guy who doesn't have the modern tricks to pull these things off. So he has that old school shit, like call the cops before you get into the shootout, and then bail and then get the other guy caught. I mean, just these.
Yeah, that was that always made me laugh.
Right. And then, going down to the records office and realizing that there's a lot of shit that's above his pay grade.
Yeah.
I love Ernest Borgnine when they, said, "Frank, how's it going?" And they just start chatting up.
Yeah.
He didn't even bother asking, "What are you doing here?" He's just like, oh, here it is.
Is that your footprint through the side of that wall there?
Yeah, I love the fact that the Ernest Borgnine's character's like, this figures he's here. How can I help you?
Yeah. I mean, he knows the guy. He's been around the guy for a long time. He knows that the character that Bruce Willis usually plays, which is kind of like that's his stick, just to kind of throw that out there, is the nice badass guy who wants to be your friend, but he's gonna kill you if you cross him. That's pretty much his character all the time. So I think it was a good fit for this one.
I agree a little bit. That's kind of the variance of different characters. I mean, it's kind of when Nick Cage says, "Oh, I did a different accent in this movie."
Well, I mean, let me just do this one. Hey, Ryan, who's Zed? Who's Zed?
What?
Who's Zed?
Who's Zed?
Zed dead.
Zed dead, baby.
Jeez. Your brain is not functioning today, huh?
No, well, I was trying to figure out what you said.
I said, shut the hell up. Anyways, but I think the way that it was perfect fit for him, I really don't think this would have been well placed for any of the other action stars that came out of that time. I mean, you got I don't think the Dolphster would have done anything with this one.
And then
definitely not Mel Gibson.
Not Arnold.
Oh God, I wasn't even putting Arnold on there.
That's the thing is they would have played it way too B movie. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
had to be have this kind of cast for this movie not to be the dumbest movie of all time.
I think the best thing about Bruce Willis's character, and I think over some of his other roles, even like Die Hard, is this character had, I think, a more methodical, intelligent nature versus some of the other roles. Like if Schwarzenegger played this,
Oh, okay.
it would have been a straightforward, I'm gonna kill him, you know. Where this
I'll
one,
be back.
well, his character,
For my ice cream.
exactly, this character was a little bit more intelligent, a little bit ahead, almost 1 to 2 steps ahead of everybody, and like
Yeah.
only Carl Urban realized that this guy was ahead of everybody, you know.
Yeah, I could see that. You know, I'm just kind of putting out there. I mean, I don't think Bruce Willis has always had a role with this much depth
No,
before this one. You know, really honestly, if I think about it, as depth of a character as this one, even with the
see, I think
Die Hards.
See, I think Die Hard is the only character that could come to mind that at least had some sort of depth. The only issue with Die Hard's character's depth is it wasn't given, like, you know, it wasn't as given as much as this is. It's something you learn over time in the character. And
Yeah,
this-
Well,
and-
his depth in Die Hard was playing a fucking divorcee.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there really
so-
wasn't depth to the
Nothing,
character.
nothing real great there. And then,
Well, I guess I should
but
say-
like James said, he's always got that attitude of like, I just want to be left alone. Like,
Yeah.
shit, they started shit. I just wanted to be left alone. Now I got to go kill a bunch of people.
Well, I guess when I mean depth, I mean, it's not really like a deep character, but depth in far as his motivation for doing it, the things he says, they add depth in Die Hard by doing certain things. And in this movie, it's not as I don't think it's as subtle, if that makes sense.
Well, he's supposed to be this ghost, you know, I mean, of a character, and then meets this chick, and then decides, like, you know, like he was telling, shit, I can't remember who, but you know, like he thinks he can have like a normal life. Oh,
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman and him.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, isn't he Bruce Willis is kind of a stalker or kind of the creepy guy at the beginning of the movie? Well, I lost my check again.
Well, I mean, he was lonely, and that's kind of what it comes out to. It's not like he's really. Well, I guess he did already know where she
Come
lived.
on,
and all
get a
that
Tinder
stuff, huh?
profile, man.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying.
So, Ryan, what do you give this movie?
Oh man, dude, this is one of the most entertaining movies.
Hell yeah.
You know, seriously, that I can watch this movie over and over again. This is a solid. I think it's a solid 5, dude. Honestly, I think it's perfect for what they tried to do. It was shot beautifully. The acting was I think exactly the level it needed to be for this to be such a good movie.
What do you give it, James?
You know, I agree with you on that. I mean, it's a really solid action film. I actually don't think there was anything really wasted in any of the scenes. I think they used the film that the time that they had, and it was only just under a 2-hour movie, and it didn't feel like anywhere near a 2-hour movie.
Oh,
it felt
no.
like you could just keep going with it. So, you know, I could agree with Ryan on that. I mean, I think it does deserve a 5.
No, I completely agree. I mean, it's a strong 5 out of 5. And the most amazing thing is this is definitely, in my opinion, a one-shot movie because the second one was awful. I think this is one of those movies that everybody's going to look at this movie and say, this was a perfect movie. It's like Boondock Saints. You can't put lightning in a bottle twice.
Yeah.
Well, the Boondock Saints had the lightning in a bottle, sure, but this one I think is so perfectly accessible to everybody who wants to see it. It's a perfect date movie. You know, your parents would really like this movie. People who don't typically watch action movies would like it. Kids would get a kick out of it. There's something for everybody in this flick.
True, it's not as much as a cult movie like Boondocks. This is
No.
a
No inside jokes here.
This is a family movie, as much as you get family movies. So next we're going to switch off to TV shows. So James, you're up.
You know, I am not a fan of the sitcoms anymore. It's difficult for me to sit down and watch a sitcom, but I gotta say this episode, besides the fact that we did Community season 1, episode 23, called Modern Warfare. After my initial response of "Holy shit, Chevy Chase is alive," was, you know, there was enough in it to where I had a few chuckles, but I wasn't bored with it. I mean, the comedy that they did was more above potty jokes and just stupid crap like that. They did have a few of those, but it was enough to where it wasn't bothersome.
So it wasn't like
So
most
I gotta
modern
say, it
TV
was
shows.
more enjoyable than I was expecting.
Well, this to me, the reason I picked this shit in the first place is one, this is my all-time sick at home with the flu for a week. I'm going through this series again. It's perfect for people who watch a lot of TV because they're literally like episode to episode, kind of going through, some classic TV trope.
4th of July, guys.
But by the way, if you hear gunshots or explosions, it's just Ryan's neighborhood. It's not a problem.
Yeah,
It's the American Cinco de Mayo.
yeah, it sounds like a war between the Protestants and Catholics of Ireland.
Quick, somebody throw a potato.
So you were saying, it's one of those that you can sit down and just watch again.
But the episodes are perfectly contained. You can watch this. 20 something episodes into the first season, you kind of get who the characters are because that's the way it was written. But it is smart. It doesn't go for the easy joker. It goes for the really obscure reference, which I've always loved. There's one character in there, Abed, who literally feels like his life is a TV show, and he's constantly trying to convince everybody that they're in a TV show.
Okay.
So it's really meta, and then they do these one-off sort of just ridiculously fun episodes, where everyone kind of falls. There's another episode where they do a school-wide version of hot lava, where you can't touch the floor.
Jeez.
And it all devolves into this Lord of the Flies situation so easily with this school, because all the show is it takes place amongst this study group at a community college. That's the whole crux of the episode, and then comedy ensues with the shenanigans like Lucy and Ricky.
So
Okay.
we're
what I'll say on this one, since John didn't get to watch it,
Didn't have
this is
time.
one that give it a try.
Yeah, seriously, give it a try. It's a great, funny ass show that you can just go through a few episodes and come back to it later, and not something that you need to binge watch,
So make sure you watch it. So we do have a Facebook page. You love us, hate us. Hey, if you're creative, we'll read you on air or mock you relentlessly. Just to let you know.
Escucha.
And we now have an audio podcast. You can catch us on Podbean, Stitcher, and more. And as always, you need to listen. Oop, come on.
Johnny's having technical difficulties.
Usually doesn't
Kick it.
go this awkward.
Kick it.
Right? There we go. And so I've
Ready.
got the movie news for you. So Independence Day 2 has been released. And apparently they're considering making a third one.
Already?
Yes. And so the director already says what it's going to be about. What the hell? So what do you think?
Yes.
I haven't seen the second Independence Day.
I haven't either. I have not. Gotta be honest, I haven't been looking forward to it either.
See, I loved Independence Day when it came out. My main concern was the fact is it's a 20-year-old movie, and is it going to feel like a 20-year-old movie, or is it going to be?
It does feel like a 20-year-old movie when you watch it again. The one thing that does actually hold up, obviously, is the speech at the end. Still gives you chills.
Have you seen Independence Day 2 yet?
No, not yet. I know it takes place like
20 years.
another 20, 30 year or 20 years in the future, or something like that. Or based off of all of the alien technology from then, the world is way beyond what it is. As we know it.
So from what I've read, it's 20 years after the first one, which is pretty much 20 years since the movie was made.
Right. Okay.
I see my problems. I love Jeff Goldblum. I love some of the people in it, but I'm so afraid it's gonna be just a cheesy action movie. Which the original one was a cheesy action movie, but it was at least good. I'm really afraid.
But it also came from an unexpected actor.
Oh,
You weren't expecting Will Smith to do as well as he did, honestly.
no, true.
So that was a pleasant surprise, and it was basically one of his breakout films into the movie industry that showed he has skills besides Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No, true. And this was I think this one was kind of one of the breakout roles for him.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So, I'm just hoping that what they don't do is nostalgia. Don't add nostalgia to it.
Well, I think that's exactly what they're going to do, honestly. Obviously not having seen the movie or a shit ton of previews, I think it's going to be a big throwback, like a la Boondock Saints 2, You know, like, hey, remember the first one? Remember how
Yeah.
cool it was?
Oh, by the way, that was the most painful sentence I've ever heard you say.
Yeah, that was
Um,
pretty bad.
so
But that's
this
because the movie was so good.
the next thing is I actually think it's kind of cool. So actor Matthew McConaughey is going to be teaching in the University of Texas for a semester. He's going to be doing a film class.
Hmm.
So I actually like Matthew McConaughey. This is, he's somewhat of an actor I do kind of respect, unlike James Franco. So what do you think?
He's going to do what now? I'm sorry.
He's going to be teaching a college film class.
I mean, dude, I think he's one of those people that we feel like we know him from his movies, and he's much more sort of well thought than that. I mean, I've heard him interviewed, and he's a really, really intelligent guy, and I think he knows a lot about his craft. So I see that totally happening.
So now
Seems
only
like if you're a really engaging, lecturist.
right now all we need now is Woody Harrelson to do a film class, and because I would pay. As a matter of fact, I'd fly to Texas to watch that class. And the next one I don't quite understand why they're doing this. And here's the headline: Prep the Tigers, a Siegfried and Roy biopic is coming. Is that necessary? Is there anybody calling for this on this?
I think, look, when it comes to biopics, you kind of got to go with the universal names. I'm surprised they haven't done a really good Houdini one.
But see,
well, although wasn't Adrian Brody supposed to play Houdini, or did he play Houdini?
I don't know.
see,
And it kind of flew under the radar. I feel like that was the case.
So at least Houdini
You know
movie
better
would
than
be interesting. This is almost like feeling like a made-for-TV movie of the late 90s, early 80s, something. I mean, why? How many people at this point even know who they are?
That's a good question. I mean, I think,
Oh, Houdini was a 2014 miniseries for History Channel with Adrian Brody.
See, they could easily make a little more jazzed up Hollywood biopic for Houdini, and I bet it would rake in the money. But who knows Siegfried and Roy? I mean,
Well, I think everybody, when you think of magic, I mean, it's got to be Houdini,
of course.
Siegfried and Roy, Penn and Teller, and like Lance Burton. I mean, those are the people that, unless you're really into magic. And then you get these assholes like David Blaine and Chris Angel.
At this point, David Blaine's just trying to kill himself.
hey man,
Well, see, that's the thing about Blaine, man. I don't know how much I get into the hey, I'm staying in a block of ice, shitting on myself, for a week. It's like, okay, it's not magic, nor is it that bloody impressive,
yeah.
So, and another one of I'm kind of excited and dear God, why? A Master of the Universe, Twilight Kellen Lutz met for the role. So they're actually going forth with a Masters of the Universe movie.
It can't be any worse than the Billy Barty version.
I was gonna say, aren't you excited for this, John?
Don't get me wrong.
This is like right up your
Don't
alley.
get me wrong. I legitimately love He-Man because of when I was a kid, but who's calling for this? In all honesty, no, don't look at me. The first
I
one
wasn't
was
looking at you. I'm just pointing.
the first one was bad enough. I mean, is this going to be like the new Conan the Barbarian movie?
I mean,
that
is
was
Dolph
kind of-
Lundgren involved in this?
God, I hope not.
See, yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be the new Conan. I mean, people like Conan
Whoa.
because
Didn't he
it
just
was
do a
kind of
Conan?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. The reboot Conan with an actor nobody really knew.
Well, I mean, nobody really knew.
It's
Arnold
not one
that
of those
well.
movies that we need to see a really earnest telling of. Like people wanted that with Batman and shit, just because we hadn't really ever seen it. But this one, it's like, oh yeah, we really need to see what the real life version of He-Man would be.
Wow, I'm actually kind of surprised.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it.
Well, yeah, but see, for me, if you're going to do something that, unfortunately, as much as it pains me, He-Man's a little bit obscure. If you're going to do an obscure 80s live action cartoon, do Thundercats. Do something different, not
Voltron.
Netflix just did Voltron.
Honestly,
I know it's not bad. I watched a bit of it.
Honestly, if anybody's going to do Voltron, it has to be the Japanese. By the way, the original Voltron was Go Lion, which American kind of changed.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say, I mean, didn't we just do a similar one? What was the hell? Pacific Rim.
yes, Guillermo del Toro. By the way, they're actually making a second one, and they think they have a date for it. And the last bit of news that I think it's kind of cool. Star Trek actor and everybody's favorite captain,
Star Trek.
William Shatner reveals he's open to return to a sci-fi franchise.
Again?
Yeah. Because he hasn't.
What sci-fi franchise?
Well, that's the thing. I'm excited just to see him in a sci-fi, but if he does it, I think it, for one, has to not be Star Trek.
Trek.
I'm sticking with Trek, just to piss you off.
Okay. It doesn't piss me off. It's going to piss off all the Trekkies out there.
I'm okay with that. I think it's cool. I mean, it really depending on what he does in the role. Is he going to play the creepy bad guy? Is he going to play the old mentor role?
I actually like him as a bad guy.
He's got to go the opposite for what he's known for. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, oh, here's another version of Captain Kirk.
Exactly.
See, I agree. I want him to play a very evil character.
I think he could. I think he'd pull it off.
Oh, now? I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's got enough.
They could even call him Tiberius just to piss people off.
Well, that would be obviously incredibly lame.
I don't know. I think it'd be funny. Let's see if I look.
It's comedy.
And one last piece of movie news, because this is just news that I didn't know was happening, is apparently George Lucas was trying to build a museum in Chicago.
Why?
And now they're going to build it in California, and that's what I kind of wonder is, I know he's done enough.
Mexicans are cheaper?
No, I just don't know why he wants to build a museum.
For what? For Star Wars paraphernalia?
It was going to be a drama. Basically, it's a $700 million museum. I'm assuming it's just going to be about him, the Star Wars, just him.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he's got enough fucking free time and money.
But it's kind of like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Does anybody actually care?
Dude, he's got like $6 billion. What do you expect him to do with his time?
You've never been to Dollyland? John's never been to Dollyland.
Dollyland?
Dolly World?
Dollywood?
Dollywood, thank you.
What's it say?
I haven't gone either. I don't really give a crap. But anyways.
What did you say? What's the last time you left the state? So next week is a theater pick. So we picked the movie, was it World of Warcraft?
Warcraft, I think is just the name of it.
Whatever it is. It's a video game that none of us have ever played. And
I have.
Okay, so 2 out of 3, 1 out of 3.
Yeah, Warcraft.
See, that's okay. Here's the thing about that, man. Like, I played like the first 3 games and a little bit of World of Warcraft. I didn't have enough time to devote my life to it, like most of my friends did. But to me, I mean, like it was one of those things you sort of create your own adventure by what you do in the game. So it's going to be hard for me to watch somebody's adaptation of it. Of this sandbox that we all used to play in.
My favorite thing is Uwe Boll tried to get the options for it, and they told him no, and especially not you. So what's the TV show we're doing?
Oh, hi. We are going to be doing Deadwood.
Ooh.
And we're going to be doing episode 1, which, drumroll please, is called Deadwood. So, there you go.
And so I gave Red a 5 out of 5. James gave it a 5 out of 5. Ryan gave Red a 5 out of 5.
I gave it a 3.
A rare trifecta in the RFR universe. And as always, thank you for watching.
Goodbye.